Mr. President, members, my name is Robert J. Corry, Jr. I'm an attorney. I've come down to you from Denver, Colorado. Hope you don't hold that against me. But I am a Coloradan. And the voters have already spoken. A lot of the arguments you heard last time and some of the arguments you heard today concerned the issue of marijuana. We had an election about that already, 2012, Amendment 64, passed into our state constitution overwhelmingly in our state. It's the supreme law of our state. There are good people who are against Amendment 64. They voiced their opinion. They lost at the polls. There are also good people who are in favor of Amendment 64. They voiced their opinion. They prevailed. Majority rules. That's the system. Many elections go against me. You accept those results. Many court cases go against me. You accept those results. That is part of America. What Amendment 64 does is it creates constitutional rights for every adult in the state of Colorado to associate with each other, to consume cannabis, to cultivate cannabis, to distribute cannabis without remuneration, and to assist other adults in the exercise of those rights. We put those in the state constitution. I helped draft Amendment 64. We put those there in our supreme law for a reason. It's in our supreme law to prevent local governments and elected officials from tinkering with those constitutional rights. Just like the First Amendment, right of association and right of free speech is non-negotiable in this room, non-negotiable as to you, the Amendment 64 rights are also non-negotiable. That may be a tough message, that may be difficult, but that is the reality. There are many constitutional rights that are inconvenient, but they're still constitutional rights. This morning, I provided all of you with a draft lawsuit that we plan to file against the city of Colorado Springs if this ordinance becomes law. This ordinance directly conflicts with the specific rights enumerated in Amendment 64. That said, my clients and I are not against negotiating, talking to you, sitting down, figuring this out. This is an important issue. There is no emergency. Some of my clients have been clubs for over 3 years. We can demonstrate that. It's easy to show. And I hope I don't have to go to district court to show that we've been in operation for over 3 years. These clubs became legal on December 10th, 2012, when Governor Hickenlooper signed Amendment 64 into law. Let's get away from law because we will talk about that in detail in the court. Let's talk about practicalities. All right, marijuana will be smoked by adults in groups no matter what you do. That happened before Amendment 64. Before Amendment 64 made it legal. It's going to happen if you pass this ordinance. Where is it going to happen? Practical thinking. You are all practical people. All of you are trusted by your constituents to make these tough decisions. Where are people going to smoke marijuana if your ordinance passes and these clubs are prohibited? And most of them will be eliminated if your ordinance stands up. We cannot comply with your ordinance. Maybe that's your intent. Okay, so the 8-year thing is, we appreciate it, but it's fairly academic. Where are they going to go? Houses. Coming soon to a neighborhood near you. You still can't prevent us from smoking marijuana in our houses, and you still can't prevent me from inviting 10 of my close friends over there, 20 of my close friends over there, 50 of my close friends over there to my own home in your own neighborhoods. That's going to be happening in your community more than it is now if you eliminate these outlets that provide an important community service. That's the reality. Now, I understand one thing I've just got to correct. Ms. Bennett makes the point that secondhand smoke affects other people. And I will tell you, there is zero science behind that. In my other life, in addition to being a constitutional law attorney, I'm also a criminal defense attorney. That's my primary practice. Many of my clients are on probation. Not a single one of those clients, if on probation, if they have a hot urinalysis for THC, not one of them could ever go to court and claim with a straight face that I picked up that THC from secondhand smoke. It doesn't happen. It can't happen. If you don't smoke firsthand smoke, you don't get THC in your system and you don't get intoxicated.
Please wrap up.
I will wrap up. And again, I just want to emphasize we may be in opposition on some issues related to marijuana, but we do want to sit down at the table. This is not an emergency. This bill should be tabled. Please do so. And I have already provided a copy of the lawsuit to your city attorney because we're going to be seeking an immediate temporary restraining order today. With all due respect, I mean, this is how we sort these things out in our culture. I'm not here to threaten anyone. We're very open about our intentions, and this lawsuit is not a secret, so I'm going to hand him a draft copy now just so he has it and can study it. You've got it already? Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Wait, we do have a question for you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Gabler?
I just have a brief question. You mentioned you're from Denver. Strictly out of curiosity, how is Denver handling or regulating clubs?
That's a great question, and I'll answer it. What Denver is doing is basically harassing and attacking landlords to eliminate these clubs and, frankly, subjecting itself to a lawsuit. And so that's how Denver is doing it.
Have they banned the clubs? What have they done?
They have not passed an ordinance banning the clubs.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
And they do exist.
Mr. Murray?
Probably more clubs than in Colorado Springs.
Is there any city in Colorado Springs that is handling this particular issue pragmatically? Is there any solution set that's come forward from any community that allows both sides to coexist?
Yes, I believe there is. From the starting point of Amendment 64 is in our state constitution, and it allows for adults to gather together and consume marijuana together. If we start from that solution, then many cities, by basically following the Constitution and allowing it to happen, are operating.
I'm being even more practical. Is there a city in the state that has come to conclusion and passed a resolution that is allowing it?
No, sir, not that I'm aware of.
So the first, thank you.
Okay.
And just to follow up a little bit, because I didn't want to leave a wrong impression here, most cities tolerate this. I mean, most cities realize this happens behind closed doors. It doesn't affect people. I mean, frankly, if marijuana clubs offend you, don't go. Very simple option. The vast majority of cities in the state of Colorado allow this to happen, and we have minimal impacts on the community, negative impacts, and I would argue an extremely positive impact, which is we give people a place who can't consume marijuana at home. You know, a lot of apartments prohibit it. That's the right of the private property owner. And so we're providing an important outlet. Imagine if you were to ban bars tomorrow in Colorado Springs. Let's say you prohibited bars, taverns, saloons, and that kind of thing. Is that going to stop people from drinking? No. Is that going to stop people from getting together in groups and drinking? No. It's going to stop them from doing it in certain places, and they're going to go to other places, namely your neighborhoods and your homes. So that's where it's going to happen, and it's a good question, and sorry for the long-winded answer.
I think we have another question. Mr. Knight?
Yeah, Mr. Korry, I'll take exception to most cities are allowing it. El Paso County does not allow it. The only city inside El Paso County that allows recreational sales is Manitou Springs, and they do not allow medical marijuana or recreational marijuana clubs.
Okay. Let's
Could
go
I
to
just briefly respond to that? I'm sorry. There's a
yes,
major.
Remember, I'm allocating an hour, and I want to get as many people to speak as possible. Please let him speak.
The people have spoken. So anyway, there's a major disconnect here, Councilman Knight. There's a huge distinction between marijuana clubs, which are legal statewide. This is a statewide constitutional provision. It cannot be repealed by any individual municipality, and the regulated sale, the shop model, can be regulated by individual municipalities by Amendment 64's own terms. So when I say that the majority of cities in the state of Colorado allow clubs, that's because not a single one has opted to ban them because they can't. This is an issue of first impression. There has been no ordinance that bans the act of adults getting together and associating with each other peacefully and consuming marijuana. That hasn't happened. Of course, many cities, including this city, have decided to ban the sale of recreational marijuana in regulated dispensaries. That's your ability under Amendment 64. You've done that. And so you can't sell regulated recreational marijuana in your city. But everyone in the state of Colorado can associate with each other and can consume cannabis. The analogy is liquor. You can do everything related to liquor without any licensure whatsoever if you're not selling it. You can brew beer in your basement and give it away to your friends all day long. You don't have to have a single piece of government paper that allows that. It's not a perfect analogy, but it might help enhance understanding. When you begin to sell the liquor, that's when all the liquor licensing kicks in. That's when local city councils and local officials have input. We are not selling marijuana in our clubs. We're not selling it. We're not getting remuneration from it. We do sell memberships, T-shirts, paraphernalia, glassware, food. You know, it's a viable business from some extent, but the marijuana side of it, at least the clubs that I'm familiar with, don't actually sell it for profit. And so that is why I can say that the majority of cities in our state, and you would be the first city to actually try to ban adults associating with each other, you'd be the first one. And you'd be the first one to deal with a case, and, you know, we'll let the chips fall where they are, and then we'll take it to the Court of Appeals and the Colorado Supreme Court. And, you know, I mean, eventually there'll be a test case, but maybe this isn't the city that we need a test case in, but maybe it is.
Okay. Let's go to Jerry.